Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. This is Eric Von Kimball here with Enviro Management Corporation, and this video is on how to fill out a chain of custody. Now, this chain of custody is specifically made for our company, but they're typically the same. They have the same type of information. Basically, what a chain of custody is basically leaving a paper trail of a type of sample or an item that has to change hands, and the chain of custody creates a chain of who had it last and who had it next, all the way up until it gets to its final destination. And if something happens to one of the samples, like if a sample was damaged, lost, in that case, we can trace back through the chain of custody who had it last and resolve the issue. So this is an EMC chain of custody. You see here at the top that we have the company name with the logo, as well as our address and contact information. And below here at client, this is where we would normally put our client. So our client can be could be food companies or grocers or anyone who has a permit and needs samples collected, maybe on a weekly, daily, monthly, quarterly basis, and so forth. So your client would put their information here as well as their address, intention it to maybe a lab personnel. If they have a relationship with someone here at our lab, they need a sample to go specifically somewhere, or has to have a rush. Now, if the sample was a grab means that someone actually went out and got the sample. We would require their signature here, just so if there was any type of situation where we couldn't identify a sample, we know who to talk to. We talk to the sampler. And over here is just more information, contact information, your phone, fax, and the project name. So project name is usually dealing with the outflow. What type of outflow is it? Because some companies have multiple outflows, or a specific project for their type of outflows or permits. So they would typically put their project name if they have more than one as well, to identify which project name is required for this particular chain. Turnaround time, we have standard, rush, as well as priority. Standard is typically usual. We depending on the length of the sample before it goes out of hold time, or is it a priority, meaning they paid a premium to get it rushed because they need a turnaround time that's much quicker. A lot of times we deal with priority with our fuel, with our jet fuel, because planes got to go stay in the air. So we don't want to heed or mess up the transition of flight times and things like that, or delays. So it's definitely up to us to make sure we have a quick turnaround time when we are testing jet fuel. So here further down, this is the meat of it. This is where all the information about the sample is notated and recorded. So we have a start time. Start time is typically if a sample has to run for more than a few hours, and then has a stop time. We typically will have the sampler record those start and stop times, as well as the date and the time collected. Then they also put if it was a composite or a grab. And specify location, meaning the outfall. You can just specify the outfall. The matrix is, was it water, was it sludge, was it fuel, and the number of containers. The number of containers is, it could be 1 bottle, 2 bottles, or one plastic or glass, and the type of preservative it's in. And then here we would typically list the type of tests that need to be done on a specific sample. So it's kind of like doing coordinates. So if I have one container, so I'll go ahead and start writing like an example. For example, if I have this yellow cap, so this yellow cap is actually our sulfuric acid. So it has a preservative in it, H2SO4. We make sure we label it. So if we had a sample that needed to get this, we would put, it would be H2O, number of containers 1, and we'll put a P for plastic, and preservative. In this case, we'll look at our legend down here. We have a legend, so our legend has A equals H2SO4, B equals HLC, which is hydrochloric acid, C, which is hydronitric acid, NaOH, which is sodium hydroxide, and E, which is, but for the purpose of this training, we're just going to stick with H2SO4, which is sulfuric acid. The preservative, we're going to put A, according to our legend. And the type of tests we might run on it will be ammonia. And this would generally have an X on it, indicating that this one bottle or sample is going to test this. And it could be a number of samples. It could be a TKN, it could be nitric acid, and things of that nature. So, and then over here to the far side, you have your remarks. If you had any remarks or notes to be taken, like a special case, special use, or if the sample needs to be iced, like in the case of some of our TSS samples, or specific samples that do not have a preservative, they should be iced or below a temperature of 4 degrees Celsius. So once you have this all filled out, then you as the sampler are releasing it to the next person in the chain, which would be the sample pickup. And so if I signed it here, then I would also put today is the January 15th, 2021, and the time 11:24. And then whoever comes to pick it up, they sign here, put the same date, and once they get to their destination, they release it to the lab, and they would sign, the person who received it would relinquish it also here, put the new time, and the person in the lab receiving it, typically the person who's actually going to be running the samples as well, will sign it here saying that they received it, everything is in working order, and if there are any questions, they know who to go to if something is out of order, out of whack. So this is how you fill out a proper chain of custody for EMC, Environmental Management Corporation. Hope this was beneficial, hope it was educational. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you found this beneficial, leave a comment, and talk to you soon.